have an amendment that I believe strengthens the bill, but also helps renters in Florida. What it will do is it will ensure that a landlord provides 60 days notice and written explanations before non-renewing a rental agreement. A landlord must also provide 60 days notice before increasing rent.
What this amendment would do is actually develop one Department of Housing and Tenant Rights to focus specifically on all of these issues versus having it be housed in all these different siloed agencies. The amendment is focused on security deposits. We all know that one of the barriers to folks getting to an apartment is sometimes security deposit, and Florida actually does not have any restrictions on how much can be charged as security deposit. So this amendment is actually reflective of what was once bipartisan policy filed in the past to give a process for someone to more clearly essentially seal their past eviction in their record.
Sets out specific ramification or specific terms for landlords to specify for terminating their rental agreement with their tenants. And it also repeals the automatic judgment for renters who are evicted that's entered by the court. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment removes the provisions in the bill that preempt local authorities from implementing their own standards for rent control.
Basically, the amendment says that if the landlord knows or should reasonably know that the tenant is pregnant or there are children under the age of 18 living in the dwelling unit, it must provide the tenant at least 3 months after delivery of written notice to vacate the premises before bringing an action of possession. This is not an amendment that is due to non-payment of rent. This is specifically if a rental agreement would be terminated. And I think that we know the rate of childhood homelessness and children who are unhoused. I think that this is something that we can do to protect children. So I would ask for your support.
I believe that we should prioritize people over profit.
One is it asks that landlords actually have their rental agreement in the language of the tenant. The thing that it's doing is it's saying during a state of emergency, when a state of emergency is declared, it's asking that the landlord is not able to evict tenants. The landlord may not cancel a rental agreement or evict a tenant because the tenant or their minor child has been a victim of domestic violence, sexual violence, dating violence, or actual or threatening stalking. It also, a tenant who is the victim of such crimes or whose minor child is the victim of such crimes may terminate their rental agreement early without penalty. A landlord must change the locks on a unit within 24 hours upon request of a tenant who is the victim of such crimes or whose minor child is the victim of such crimes. This one here is very, very, very important because when you're dealing with stalking or domestic violence, and I can speak to this too. Unfortunately, I had a cousin that actually was killed dealing with domestic violence. And I'm positive each and every last one of you want to protect these victims. And so the part about changing the locks is very important. And if a victim needs to change their location because they're being stalked and someone knows where they are, we would want to make it illegal for them to break their lease agreement. So this is another opportunity for you to do right by the people of Florida.